Welcome everybody to the Girls Who Recover podcast. I am so excited for you to meet today's guest. She is a rock star. She is a gorgeous miracle, and she has a massive setback followed by a gorgeous comeback. And so Casey and I met this year as a part of a mastermind of baddie, I'll just say this, baddie women who are creating ripples throughout the world via our own podcast. And so I'm excited to share with you Casey Taton. And Casey, welcome to the show. I've been so excited since you said yes. Because your story is so powerful and it needs to be shared far and wide. So I'm so thrilled for the audience of Girls Who Recover to meet you. So tell us about you, Casey. Tell us all the things.
First, thank you for that beautiful introduction. You're magic. I think you made me blush. I, well, I thought I lived a normal life, right? What everybody calls normal. I used to be an operating room surgical tech, and my life came to a stop. I have a rare condition. I didn't know. I fought for a good 2 years, trying to figure out what was wrong with me. So, sorry.
Yeah.
Um,
Can I pause you just there for a second? Tell
Absolutely.
us where you are in the world. Tell us what age you were at this time. So you said you thought you lived a normal life. You were a surgical tech. Give us some
Yeah,
context. Like, how did you get to be a surgical tech? And
yeah.
give us like a minute or so leading up to that moment.
I loved the medical field. All my family was medical. I loved all things medical. I worked in a doctor's office like when I was like 18. Like I started young and I loved it. It was magic. I was like, this is the most amazing thing to be able to help people, right? Like I loved the operating room. It was fast, hype, and just always going. Um, so I was in my 30s. I'm 41 now. So I was in my
Yeah,
30s.
girl. God bless the 40s. Can I get an
Yeah.
amen for the 40s?
Yes. The best years, right?
Yes. Yes, indeed. So you're in your 30s, and then did you say where you were living? Where you same
I'm
place
in
you live now?
Yeah, I'm in Kansas. I grew up in Wichita, Kansas. Still live here.
Kansas. Okay,
Yeah.
so Kansas, you love the medical field, working in a doctor's office. By the way, all my
Mhm.
family's in medicine as well. So love that we have that in common.
Yeah.
I did not actually love it, so that was not my path, but I'm so glad you found yours. I had to wander for a while. So you've worked in a doctor's office, 18, living the
Mhm.
dream, loving what you're doing, loving the operating room, and then get
Yeah.
us to 18 to where you were at 30 in your 30s.
So in my 30s, I was working in the operating room. I loved college, loved learning everything medical. And all of a sudden my 30s were great. I thought they were great. I had have your house, a car, like that's what you dream of. Or what I dreamed of is like having this good job, like life is just good. And I started getting sick and I was unable to eat
Mm.
and no one really knew what was wrong with me. I went
What
through,
did what did it feel like? What did that feel like when you were sick? Was it mind, body, spirit, all the things? Like how did that show up for you?
yeah, it was all the things.
Mm.
I would go to doctors and be like, I can't eat and I love food. And they misdiagnosed me and basically told me I was like crazy. And like the feeling in your heart when you get told that is like, remember looking at them saying, what do you mean? I have this job I love, like I have this amazing life. Like, what do you mean? I'm making this up? Like
Mhm.
I'm stopping my own life? And I didn't get it.
Can we just
So
pause? Can we just pause here, Casey?
yeah,
Because I'm sure that you're going to get here because of the gorgeous work that are doing in the world. But like, this is a thing, right? That women
yeah,
specifically and women of color mostly are not listened to. They're not
100.
believed.
No.
Whenever there's not like, oh, I can't give you an exact diagnosis, then it's you. It's got to
Yeah.
be something going on. Did they say something going on in your
Oh
mind?
yeah.
Did they try to blame your psychology?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's,
100%.
can we just like hold space for this as being a thing, a real thing? I have friends and clients and all sorts of women specifically
Yes.
who
Yeah.
go to people that we're supposed to be able to trust, knowledgeable people who at least we might be able to say, like, we're not sure, but we're going to figure it out.
Right. And when you work in the medical field, you're like, I trust you guys. I work side by side with you guys.
Oh,
So my heart stopped. Like I was like, no one is listening to me. I can't get anyone to hear me. Like the feeling inside me was like, whoa, I think I'm crazy. Like, what is happening to me?
whoa.
I'm a
Okay.
lot.
So
Yeah.
no one's listening to me.
Right.
I can't get anyone to hear me.
Right.
And then if you're listening, I want you to know she touched her heart when she said, maybe I'm crazy. Right. So there's
Right.
gaslighting.
Yeah.
And this just isn't in the medical field, although it's so easy to spot there.
Yeah.
And how did that feel?
It was
What was that
horrible.
like? Yeah.
Yeah. I felt like my whole world stopped and crumbled before my eyes. Yeah.
And then not only are you being told that what you're experiencing isn't real, is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Isn't real,
Yeah.
but also you can't eat, which means your brain and body have stopped working on your behalf. Now they're just working to survive.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Um it was exhausting. They basically were like, "Hey, we can put a feeding tube in you. Your stomach has stopped." And I was like, "That doesn't just happen. This isn't real life. Like that doesn't just happen to people." And I was like, "Absolutely not. I'm not settling for this."
Mm.
Um, I I fought them to the core on I don't believe you. Well, after I felt the emotions, cried, was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what I'm doing. No one is hearing me. They're just targeting me with all of these things that aren't I'm like, I don't think they're true. And then I'm like, are they true? And then I was like, no, I didn't stop myself from eating. Like I love food.
Mm.
And
Wait, am
so,
I hearing that they claimed that maybe you were stopping, like you had an eating disorder or something, or
yes.
experiencing that? Okay.
Yeah, so they did some testing and they actually had a test that showed my stomach wasn't had stopped. But they also at the same time were like, you're choosing not to eat and you're making yourself throw up. And I was like, what? Because those were things that I had never experienced. I know they are real conditions, but I
Mhm.
was like, why would I do that? Like, I'm living this good life. Why would I make myself do that? So I didn't understand it.
Yeah. So
And
there's so many layers, right? So one is
yes,
your body is not not working on your behalf.
right.
Something going on. You're going to the people that you're running the race with, knee to
Yes.
knee with, in the trenches of medicine. It sounds like misdiagnosing you,
Hmm.
turning the lever back on you, and then there's this underlying feeling of like, am I crazy? Am I contributing to this? Is it a
Yeah.
conscious choice? That feels like a lot, Casey.
It it was a lot. Really heavy. Yeah, I went into like a depression of like my world is over. And I remember asking my mom and like sitting with my mom and being like, Mom, did I do this to myself? Like, where did I go wrong? And my mom's like, I've sat by your side day after day, like watching you fight this. She was like, I don't know, like what's happening. And I said, I'm not getting a feeding tube, Mom. And I know a doctor looked at me and she said, okay, I'll dismiss you, but I'll see you back in a month. And I remember looking at her and saying, no, no, I won't. And she said, yeah, your body's going to stop. And I said, no, ma'am, it's not.
Mm.
Thank you. And we left that hospital and I didn't know what to do. And my mom looked at me and she said, I'm so thankful for like a family that stood beside me this whole time.
Yeah.
Um I was like, Mom, I've hit rock bottom. I don't know what to do. And she's like, this fight isn't over. She's like, you just told her no and that you were going to be fine. And so I did. I went to the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota.
I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
We pause? Okay. So the first one is something that I heard you say a couple minutes ago was you had to feel some feelings, right?
Yeah.
Like you went through this period. Can you speak into what that looked like, how you did that? Because I think for a lot of listeners, that's not a thing that we like, that's not a thing. It's like, oh, we're gonna just suck it up and go and fight. But it sounds like
Yeah.
you honored that. Can you speak into that?
I went through, I think, all the feelings. I went through anger, madness at the world. Why did this happen to me? I remember questioning, God, why me? What did I do wrong? Why do I deserve this? Um, and then I went through the feelings of just, I hate this world, like mad, angry.
Yeah.
Um, I think I went through the feelings of feeling sorry for myself. And then when I think I got through that, I was like, I'm not done. I'm coming back. Like, I'm not living this life, and they are not going to stop me. Like, somehow this inner determination was like, I'm not done here.
Yeah. I always wonder, like, if we didn't give ourselves space to feel the things that you just mentioned. So anger,
Oh, yeah.
blame, hate. I mean, hate's a strong word, but like
Yeah.
just dislike, strong dislike,
Just like, yeah.
and self-pity.
Yeah.
And then once those you invited them to the table, it sounds like you said, I'm gonna feel these things. Maybe you didn't choose that, maybe you just felt them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then once they had their chance at the table, they could leave and
Yeah.
give rise to what I then heard you say, which was this decision, this determination to, okay, oh no, 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 we won't. Oh no, they won't. Oh no, this won't. Can
Yeah.
you speak? Let's magnify that moment. Like, was there a moment and can you tell us about it? And what did that feel like in your body? Like just the decision moment where you went from feeling sorry for yourself to, oh, hell no.
I I think I went through so much anger towards people. Like, you don't get to tell me this. Like, of course I cried, but then one day I think I just like snapped and I was like, they don't get to tell me that my life is over.
Yeah.
They don't get to tell me that this is the answer when like they don't know the answer. So they're leaving this answer on me, this diagnosis, and just saying, here you go, live like this. And I was like, I'm not living like that. And it made me angry. And I was just like, I'm doing something else. There has to be more.
Can I just elevate this idea that you were angry and that resulted in you making a fierce, determined decision to do something different? And
Yeah.
I want to give rise to that because oftentimes, I know in my own experience, I start to feel angry. And then there's this voice that's like, don't feel angry. It's not okay to feel angry. Like, get yourself together. It's fine. Like, there's no reason to feel angry. And I'm like, I don't even know who that is talking to me.
Yeah.
But what happens for me, and I don't know if this is your case, it sounds like you didn't let this happen to you, is that I will shove that anger in like a little pocket and then I'll start to have heartburn later, and wonder why.
Yep. No, yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but you gave voice to your anger, you allowed yourself to feel that feeling, and as a result of that, it fueled you making a decision.
Yeah.
To do something differently. Okay, so let's go there. Let's go. You decided, you're like, I don't care what you have to say. I know. Like, what was the truth that you knew at that time? Your inner
Um,
is the inside of you telling you.
yeah, I was like, this isn't right. There is more happening. Um, and I'm gonna get answers. I'm not settling for this life. And so I called the Mayo Clinic. I traveled there. I spent weeks doing testing. I I got to see all the fun counselors that were like, "You've been diagnosed with what?" And I'm like, "Oh, all the red flags." And they're like looking at me and they're like, "Well, I'm gonna tell you that we don't believe those things are true because you have this like determination and fight in you that if someone had that going on, they don't have those things." And I somehow met with this doctor. I It was a God thing. He's like a world-renowned doctor. I had no idea when I saw him. And he was like it was like sitting down talking to my grandfather.
Mm.
Um I remember walking in and I just told him my story and I started crying. And it was the first time I felt heard by a doctor. And he was so reassuring and so calm and just let me cry. And my mom was with me. We both cried. And he was like, "Well, we have a plan. This is what we're going to do. And so I need you to do these things, do these testings, and then come back and revisit me."
So let me pause you just for a second because something both Casey and I are mentored by Kathy Heller, the goddess of all spiritual growth and receiving abundance.
Yes.
And I was reading her book, Abundant Ever After, this morning, and there was a line that stuck out to me, Casey, that I just want to share with you. And she said, we can only receive what we have the courage to ask for. She's all about like how good can it get? How much can we be available to receive? But I just heard you have the courage to ask for what you knew you needed. So when you said you went to the Mayo Clinic, first of all, where's the Mayo Clinic?
I went to the one in Minnesota.
And Mayo Clinic is designed to,
They treat all kinds of things. Yeah. It's like its own little town.
wow.
It's
And it
huge.
sounds like also that you had the courage to ask for help from them.
Yeah, I did.
Which,
It
can we be honest? Like a lot of people, and even some of, I'll just say this, a lot of people, specifically women, will receive a diagnosis, which, like, I'm not a doctor, I'm just going to out myself, but a diagnosis is a set of symptoms that are present in a moment, in a given moment, and it's in a given moment. Okay, that's all I'm going to say.
yeah.
And that we will hear that and say, for instance, when I was younger, I was diagnosed with depression, which was an experience I was having at that moment. And the way that I heard it, and maybe this isn't the truth, is that, okay, I have depression, so therefore I'm going to have depression forever. It's a lifelong thing. Like
Yeah.
even when I was deep in sobriety and I was about to have my first baby, I'm like, oh, well, I'm surely going to have postpartum depression because back when I was 16, 20 years before I was diagnosed. So therefore, and it's like this is just an example of I just subscribe to that belief that since a doctor told me, therefore it's true and it's true forever.
Yeah, they put a label on us and it's like we think we have to carry that label forever. Like you just I was labeled with that too. It's like you have depression. It's like, "Oh, so for the rest of my life, I'm going to be depressed."
Yeah. So, and I also want to say, like, listen, I love doctors. All my family, they're doctors. Love them. Brilliant, magical women. Okay.
Yes.
I love, and you too, we love the medical field. So it's not necessarily a hit on medical field,
No,
but it's
absolutely.
this
No.
like, let's burst open this idea that just because someone tells us
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's accurate, true forever. And thank you for the help. One of my other mentors, Mary Morrissey, says, we look at the MD and think it means mini divinity, and it doesn't. It
That's
means
good.
a very well educated, brilliant person who's seeking to heal, hopefully, who has good
Yeah.
intentions, and who's sharing with us what they know about what they've learned at the time. Now, the other thing
Yeah.
I have to elevate that you said, that I'm like, oh, tell me more about what you meant. You said right before you described this man who finally heard you, this doctor who finally gave you space to just feel, held space, then said, beautiful, thank you. And we have a plan. And we have a plan. But right before you said that, which sounds like a miracle to me, by the way, you said it was a God moment. Tell me what you mean by that.
There's so many doctors in that clinic. I had been to another one and she's like, "Yeah, your stomach has stopped working," and but she really didn't have a plan for me. And she's like, "Well, maybe you can see this guy, but he's really booked." And I remember going to his desk and I'm like, "Listen, I know people come here from all over the world, but I can't stay here for another month and I can't keep flying back here.
Mhm.
And I really need help." And they were like, "Okay, well, let us go talk to him." And they were able to work me in.
What's his name? Can we give him a shout out?
Yeah, his name is Dr. Loftus.
Thanks, Dr. Loftus.
Yeah,
So when you say it was a God thing, you mean something was working in your favor. Is that what you mean?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
When you had the courage to ask.
Yeah. I also, so to rewind a little bit,
Yeah.
to get through this journey, I also had to, when you lose your job, you lose everything. I had hit rock bottom and I was like, I'm going to lose my house. I'm going to lose everything I own. And I had a good friend come in town and she said, there's this thing called GoFundMe and I think you need to write a story because people will help you. And I was like, no. And she said, I didn't realize how sick you were until I came and stayed with you and lived in your house for a week. And she said, we're going to write you this GoFundMe. And I remember telling my parents, and my parents were like, mm, I don't know about that. Like, that's asking a lot. And she said, okay, well, we're going to do it anyway.
Mm.
I'm here to help and we're going to do it anyway.
This
And
is
we
your
did.
friend. Is your friend a woman by
Hmm.
any chance?
She is.
Of course she is.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Uh-huh.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it anyway. Just
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly how it was.
love
Yeah.
it. So let me rewind because I didn't catch that the first time. So because you were experiencing sickness, you
Yep.
lost your job. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. I had to quit my job.
So we went from living the life, gorgeous in your 30s, dream job at the hospital, owning a house, having this, sounds like really strong relationship with friends and family, to you said rock bottom. Can you speak into that? Like, what does that mean, rock bottom? What did it mean for you? What did it
Hmm.
feel like? What did it sort of look like? And then what did it feel like on the external, internal?
It felt horrible. I remember going and asking for help. And I was like, I've never had to ask for help. I've never had to go stand in line and ask all these places for help. And I got turned down. I was a single woman with no kids. And they were like, sorry. And I was like, I remember looking at them and I had so much anger in me. And it was so heartbroken because they were like, there's all these resources, just go ask for help. And so I remember sitting in my car for like an hour before I walked into a place, crying to my mom. And my mom's like, Casey, just get out of your car and go in there, stop crying, and ask for help. That's what these
Okay.
places do.
Tell me about what you mean when you say these places.
So, like the Red Cross, different organizations like that that provide help to people.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
Because I
Red
was like,
Cross.
yeah, I'm gonna lose my house. I'm gonna lose everything I own.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do?
So
And so,
you
yeah,
felt horrible and you felt it sounds like desperate too.
yeah, I was desperate to do anything. And so walking in there and asking was huge. I remember all the feelings. I cried. I was shaking. I was nervous. I was scared. Like, I have never done this before. And instantly the man behind the desk was like, "Nope, sorry. You're young. You don't have kids. We can't help you with that. We can't help you with anything." And I remember looking at him and looking around this room and I said, "I chose to go to college and have a good job and a career, and my life stopped, and you can't help me." And he's like, "No."
Mm,
And
that's
so
devastating.
it
Plus,
was
and at the same time, your body isn't working, so you're not
right.
functioning at a high level. You're not feeling well. Now you're enduring this like terrifying experience of having to ask for help for the first time.
Yeah.
And it sounds like also too, this is pushing up against your, and forgive me if I'm like projecting on you, but this, you said, I chose to go to college. I chose to get a good job. So you have this identity of somebody who's motivated, determined, self-sufficient.
Mhm.
And in spite of all that, you're finding yourself in your car trying to just summon the courage to walk in and ask for help. And then when you do, from a man, God bless them, they say, we can't help you. Did
Yep.
I catch that right? Was it a guy who said that? No,
Yep.
love
Yeah.
men, married to one, love them so
Yeah.
much. Just
Right.
elevating, right? Okay, so rock bottom, you're almost, you're in a position to lose everything. You're not able to find the help. Plus, there's this
Mhm.
internal struggle and a physical deterioration because if your
Oh
stomach's not
yeah.
working, then your body's not
I was
working.
living on liquids and food. Like I remember my dad going to like every health food store because it wasn't big when I first got sick.
Mhm.
And they were like, drink bone broth, and I would take shots so I didn't throw up. I lost like 40 pounds like super fast. It was a lot, and my family's like, what can we do for you? Like, I remember my dad saying, I said, I just want to eat. And he said, I'll cook you steak and you can just chew it and spit it out. And I was like, who does that? And he's like,
Thanks,
well, you'll
Dad.
just, yeah. Like my family tried everything to support me.
So fast forward, we're in this conversation with your friend
Hmm.
who's like, yeah, yeah, I hear that you don't want to set this thing up because what were the feelings that I want to like elevate this? I don't want to ask for help. But what were the
Yeah.
feelings? Like, what was the story that you were telling yourself? Or what did you hear about if I ask for
Well,
help, then what?
um, well, first of all, I'm sharing with the world that I'm declaring that I'm sick and that I need help. And I felt completely helpless.
Mm.
I was like, I don't know that I've ever felt like this before. Like, I can't survive on my own. I'm going to lose everything. And my dad is a small business owner, and so the feeling of like hard work like was installed in me. Like you work hard for your money to get nice things.
Hmm. Welcome
So
to
like,
America.
yeah.
Welcome to middle class America.
Yeah. And so I remember him saying, I'm a business owner. You can't put that out there. I'm a small business owner. Like to my dad, that was making him feel like
Mm.
he couldn't support his child. So there was a whole lot of family emotions going on. And my friends, like, we're putting it out there anyway.
Yeah, she said F the patriarchy, because that's what that is. It's a
Yeah.
social and cultural narrative that says you can't ask for help, especially men. Definitely
Yep.
women, especially men. We're not asking for help. We're going to pull ourselves by our bootstraps. We're supposed to take care of ourselves and each other, and that's it. We're never going to ask for help. We're going to suffer alone.
Yep.
How many of our listeners have experienced that? Like, I'm never going to tell anybody this. Lots of women in recovery come in with these, secrets that they're like, oh, these things that I'm never going to share with anybody. But I don't want to advance your story, but when we do, we create freedom for ourselves and others who are walking the same.
Yeah.
So let's get there. All right. The friend did not listen. She said, "We're not doing this. That's
Yep.
fake. That's fake news of the patriarchy. We're going to ask for help." All
Yeah.
right, pick it up. Tell us.
So I went to Mayo, Dr. Loftus. I did a lot of testing. They could not help me at the Mayo Clinic, but he was like, I can get you scheduled here in Cleveland. I'm going to send you to the Cleveland Clinic, and they have a great surgeon there. This is what you have. He's like, I just know this is what you have. I'm sorry we can't help you here. We had a change in doctors. And he like just sat down. He's like, I'm making the phone call today. Fly home. You will have to go to the Cleveland Clinic, and but I'm gonna do this with you. And it was like the best feeling of relief of I have fought for years and like someone is hearing me. I remember hugging him, and like before I even had my surgeries, I was like, thank you for giving me my life back. Thank you for giving me a chance. And thanks for listening to me.
And can we just note that he didn't give her the solution? He did not give her the cure. All this man
Yeah.
did was hold space for you and give you hope and
Yeah.
said to you, I hear you. What you're feeling is valid. And I'm
Yeah.
going to walk with you as you take this journey. It's not going to happen here. I'm sure he wished it could have. And do
Yeah.
you want to share with us what he thought it was?
Yeah, so he said that I had moles, which is median arcuate ligament syndrome. So the artery basically was crushing, or the ligament was crushing the artery, and so I wasn't getting blood flow to my stomach, which causes your stomach to slow down. So the first test, like here where I live, they said you have gastroparesis, your stomach just stopped, and I was like, that doesn't just happen, and I'm not living with that. And so he's like, no, you have something above that that happened, and we don't know why it's triggered, but it is, and there's a surgery for this.
Whoa.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
also just I have to pick. I pick. I've got my spiritual spidey sense on. You said it was a God thing, and then he said, "I just know." And I don't know. Like when you said that, I felt that in my gut. Like it was a gut knowing that maybe didn't come out of a textbook, just came out of like a direction that he received. I doubt that he
yeah.
shared that with you, but when
No,
you
yeah,
said that, I just felt the energy of, oh yeah, he intuitively knew what it was. Or maybe
yeah,
he just had the experience and will attribute it to it being a God thing. You
yeah,
syncing up with the person who, and was he right?
yeah. He was.
What?
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Cleveland Clinic.
yeah.
So he said, we're doing it together. You felt heard. He made space for you.
Yeah. So I flew back home to Wichita. And then I went to Cleveland. I had surgery there. Um, they nicked my aorta and had to stop the surgery.
Wait, your aorta, your like heart, the
Yeah.
thing that goes to your heart.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So they had to stop the surgery, and they thought they got the ligament cut enough to where I would be able to function again. And I flew back home and they were wrong. And so then I kind of went through that whole cycle of like, what is happening? Not again. Like I had so much excitement that this was it. And so I the surgeon that worked on me in the Cleveland Clinic, he had moved to Dubai. They have a big clinic there. And so I was like, now I'm gonna have to find another surgeon. And so there's luckily the support group online. It was my only people, like the only people I could feel like related to me, and I'm super thankful for that. So I found another surgeon, and I went to Connecticut, and I had surgery there, a big open surgery there, and we were there over the holidays. Me and my mom spent, I think, 3 weeks there. Um, they wouldn't let you fly back home until you're so far out of surgery, and so then I got to come home. I had that surgery, got to come home. In the meantime, they had killed my immune system. So I was anemic, I was fighting tons of other things. Um, so kind of fast forward a little bit, I am better now. My artery did not stay all the way open after my last surgery. Um, However, I can eat now and drink now. Um, I still have like a portacath. I still get treatments, but my quality of life now is way different.
What? Okay, so the first diagnosis was there's nothing we can do. You're gonna have something in your stomach, is that right?
But
And
yeah,
you're
they were
not.
basically gonna put a feeding tube in me, put a port in me for fluids. Like you'll live off this for fluids, and then we're gonna put a feeding tube in you, and you'll like just live with the feeding tube. I have so this is where my stubborn comes in. I have a family that goes to the lake, and I love the lake, and the lake is my happy place. And I was like, if you put a feeding tube in me, I can't get in the water.
Mm.
I can't get any of these things wet. And that was like my inner fight of like, no, I am not living like this.
You
So
kept your eyes on what you loved, and it sounds like
I did.
you love your life that you had. You like to be
Yeah.
in the water. You love your family. You love your friends, and you love this part of you that's like, no, I am
Yeah.
here to have a great, beautiful life. I'm not accepting anything else.
Yep.
Where did that come from, Casey? Where did that fire come from? Is it family spirit? Like what? Where does
So
someone get something like that?
I
Did
will
you
tell
get it
you
on
that
Amazon? You know, you didn't get it on Amazon.
no, I never realized where it came from until later. And both of my grandmothers have this inner fight. One of them, my grandma passed away in June of pancreatic cancer. And I saw that inner fight come out in her of like, this is not beating me. So she fought with it for like a year after we found out. Um, and then my other grandma, she had a stroke in her 80s and was half paralyzed from it. And she was determined to like stay in her home. Like, no, I'm living in my home. I'm not going to a facility. And she was sassy, right? And so I was like, I had two grandmothers, one on each side that were like, I don't settle for things like this. Like, this is not my life, and this is not these diseases is a dis-ease, and it's not stopping me.
Yes. Okay. I just want to say again what I heard you say. This disease is a dis-ease, which means lack of ease, which is what Kathy Heller teaches all day long, right?
Yep.
So if it's just a simple dis-ease, that means there is a cure, there is a
Yeah.
solution, and we're going for it.
Yep.
I cannot emphasize enough because I have this same, what a gift we have to have these women in our lives. Maybe dear listener, you have women in your life, or maybe you are the woman in someone else's life who sets the bar high enough to say, no, we will not accept this narrative of the patriarchy, of the medical field, of the whatever is designed to keep us outside of this gorgeous, beautiful, abundant life that is our birthright.
Yes.
Because you started the story living in the cadence of your own birthright, abundance in health, abundance in work, abundance in family, abundance everywhere.
Yeah,
And that is the birthright of everyone,
it
not just
is.
women, but that's since I serve women, of course.
Yes.
And also the thing that many women shut ourselves off from.
Oh yeah.
And what did you call both of those grandmothers? I just want to name them. What did you call them?
I call them grandma. Both
Both
grandma.
of them. Grandma
Yeah.
and grandma
Yeah.
said, oh, hell no, we're going to do something different. We're not accepting this noise.
Yeah.
We're going to do what we want to do, and we're going to take the action necessary. We're going to decide for it in the face of expert opinion to the contrary. Watch me put quotation marks up when I say expert opinion,
Yeah.
because the expert is within you. That's where the expert is.
It is.
And that expert, I was just curious, like, great, you have this beautiful models of grandma, and I had the same thing with both of my grandmothers, and specifically my mom, who's like the fiercest warrior out there,
Yeah.
who taught me early, like, yeah, that doesn't apply to us. Like, no, those rules are just suggestions. Your no actually means not yet, and let's take action anyway. Do
Yeah.
not accept no for an answer. And it sounds like you had the benefit of that too. And now that I have three daughters and I'm like, well, I have a responsibility just like your grandmas did. And maybe they didn't even know
Yes.
that. Just by living in their own power and strength, they shined their light. They became the lighthouse for you as an inspiration for you. And I'm
Yeah.
so stinking grateful they did because you are such a beautiful, bright light in the world, Casey.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay, so speaking of a bright light in the world, so you did not take that answer for answer. You took it as information. You disagreed with it
Mm,
and you charted your own path and were
mm,
supported. I love this evidence of spirit, evidence of God along the way. Your mom, your dad,
yeah.
your friend with the GoFundMe. I'm sure
Yeah.
there were people that contributed to the
Oh, yeah.
GoFundMe. Yeah.
Yeah.
The,
Yeah.
the Mayo Clinic, the Cleveland Clinic, the man who held space, the doctor who held space for you. Dr. Loftus, thank you. And then the Connecticut, and now you are healing on the roads
Yes.
and you're able to eat and your life's, I mean, we've hung out a lot this year. It it seems like your body's working on your behalf again.
Yeah.
And so
I don't,
what's that feel like? What's before we go to like how have you used this to change the whole world, which by the way she has. We talked about what it felt like to be at rock bottom, to be devastated and felt used the word horrible. What does it feel like on the other side? Maybe we're not all the way where you want to be, but what does it feel like on the other side? What are the feelings you have now?
it's magical. There's hope out there and like dig inside yourself because we all have it. And I think we don't realize it until sometimes we're forced to hit rock bottom before we realize like this world is a good place and there's so much magic in the world.
Say more about what you mean when you say magic and magical. I love that word, and I think that there are many interpretations of that. So, what does that mean to you? What's it feel like to you?
It's like it almost gives me chills. Like it's like this light up feeling of you can glow and you can be you and you can be your authentic self and it doesn't matter what you've been through. It's just there's so much good. It's like these like I see like sparkles. Like that's what I feel like. Like it's just magic. I don't yeah.
I felt that in my body. The first time you said it, I was like, oh, golden light in my body right now.
Yeah.
Is that weird? Great. Let's let it be weird.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're healing physically. And then what about emotionally, mentally, spiritually? How is that? How are you there?
Um I I think so it stopped my world and made me look at the world as a different place, a different feeling, a different view. I started doing breath work. I I see a natural doctor. I still have a medical team, but I see like natural doctors. Like I do like red light saunas. I do, um, my grandmother, the one that had the stroke, she had crystals.
Mhm.
She was natural. And I always thought, she's so woo, she's so out there. And then I was like, oh my gosh, she's magical. She's the blessing. Like, so all of that, I soak it all in. Like, also, I think when you get to surround yourself with other women, you see that there is so much light in this world and it's just a good feeling.
Casey, that sounds so starkly different from what's felt to me at the beginning of the conversation. Like you were in such a dark, isolated, horrible
Yeah.
place. And now that you were brave and supported and loved by the energy of the universe, showing up like your mom and dad, showing up like your friend, showing up like Dr. Loftus, showing up like the surgeon, right? Because the spirit shows up in
Yeah.
human forms, unless you can see the spirits, which I can't, although I wish I could. They're showing up
Right.
in human form
Yes.
as agents of the divine working in your favor, always working in your favor.
Yes.
And now that you see that, you see instead of the world being horrible and you're blaming it and you're angry with it, you look at it like it's filled with light.
It is.
And now you see light everywhere, which is how we met, because light attracts light.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. You are this beautiful light.
It takes one to see one, the 7 degrees of resonance
Mm.
that Kathy talks about. So I love it. I love light. I love it so much. And I love that it welcomes in gorgeous miracles like you. So I normally ask the question like, what resources do you recommend? This is what I heard you say: breath work, infrared. When you say natural doctor, do you mean naturopath or what is,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
naturopath. Okay.
Yeah.
And also a medical team, because we're not discounting the power of Western medicine. It's a thing, it
Yep.
works. And as long as we're connected to, you said, your internal knowing, you're at home with yourself, you're authentic, that's your spirit waking up, remembering who you are. And that's what it sounds like happened. You remembered who you were, a human being having a spiritual experience. And when we're connecting to light, we realize there's magic everywhere. You said your grandma was the blessing. She's magic because
Yeah.
you started to see with a new lens of possibility about how
Yeah.
good life can be. So, whoa, any other resources that you suggest to someone who's on a healing journey, natural healing resources that have worked for you?
I think connecting, I love Kathy Heller. I
Yes.
did my breathwork classes with Jen Liss. I
Yes.
think just be open to the possibilities. Uh, it was a huge shift for me, and be open to trying new things, because the more I try, the more I open my eyes, and the more I surround myself with other amazing, beautiful people. It's that's healing itself.
And when you're open, even a little corner of your mind, just a little
Oh
bit.
yeah, that's all it takes. Just a little bit, and then you just start to grow, and that heart just opens so much bigger.
And things are delivered to you like they're at your door. They just ring the doorbell and you open the door and there they are waiting for you,
Yep.
Jen and Kathy, and seeing grandma and and wow. Okay, so you've taken this experience, Casey, that really could have, and rightly so, kept anybody down, kept anybody back, kept anybody in a really terrible place. And it's instead, we would just went through this whole beautiful process of you coming out on the other side, but it doesn't stop there. Oh, dear, gorgeous listener, I want you to hear what Casey does now, what she does in the world in a way that uses her setback to create not just the comeback for her life, but for the miraculous lives that she touches now as a result of her work in the world. So, Casey, tell us about your work in the world.
um, it was an eye-opening experience, and that's why I say that, when something happens to you, it's the shift, and it changed my life, and I didn't know what my purpose was. And so I started doing, I had a friend that was doing like a little bit in the hospital for kids, and she had asked me to help her, which gave me purpose. And then she stepped back and wasn't getting anywhere, and they were doing like birthdays, and she was like, "Hey, if you want to take this over, I would love for you to. I'm not getting anywhere with the hospital." So these were birthday parties for kids in the hospital. And I was like, "Oh, I mean, I'll
Kids
try."
who are patients, so kids with some dis-ease in the
Mhm.
hospital, and
Yeah.
you were invited in. It doesn't sound like you even
Yeah.
did any work. You were just received an
Yeah.
invitation. Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Sounds like alignment to me. An
Yeah.
invitation in.
Yeah.
Okay. Birthday
So,
parties, hospital, kiddos.
yeah. So I've been doing it for 6 years now. Um, my goal is to make the hospital not feel like a hospital, to make their rooms, to bring the magic to the rooms and let them know that they are supported. Not only the kid, but the families are supported by the community. And so we do birthday parties, we do milestone, we do end of chemo treatments, in irradiation. Any kid that's in there fighting a battle, they've been in there for like a week and they just need a pick me up. We call them sunshine bags.
What?
And yeah, it's just bringing joy. Like, You can lay there and be depressed and sad, but I live that life and it's not fun. So I want to bring the joy to the hospital. That's my mission.
So you were invited in to take over celebrations for kiddos who were patients in the hospital. And it sounds like you get to be your own version of Dr. Loftus, to not just hold space and be with these kiddos, but to be a shining light of joy, to celebrate them. Yes, birthdays and milestones and end of treatments and anything we can celebrate.
Yep. We celebrate it all.
Right? And can we agree that this is a gorgeous model for how to live life specifically? You don't have to be in the hospital to celebrate everything. You
No,
can do that right now wherever you are listening to this. In your car, what are
absolutely.
you celebrating?
I
What are we elevating? Okay, so but let's go back because the work that you're doing is so magical. Can you tell us about your favorite story? Like tell us one of your favorite stories about the work that you've
um
done there.
I've got to meet so many families. It's a blessing to me. These kids are the most resilient kids I've ever met. They change my life daily. They make me see the magic in the world because they are going through so much and they don't let it stop. They don't let it stop them at all. Like they are so grateful for everything and they just have this shining light. And on their sickest days, they're still happy and they're still like excited for everything. And I've had so many little kids. I was there on Christmas Eve. And a little girl came running down the hall to hug me and my heart just stopped. Like we do like events with other organizations outside of the hospital, and these kids just come up and hug you, and it's not just me. Like I have so many volunteers that are that just do all the amazing work behind the scenes, and our community supports it. And but it's just the best feeling in the world to see these families and to hear. Uh, I have parents reach out to me. Um, Probably one of the biggest things is also one of the saddest things of I gave a girl her last birthday. She celebrated it in the hospital, and the mom still reaches out to me and thanks me for celebrating. It was a Saturday, and I remember, picking up my phone and she's like, "Hey, we're here from out of town. I know I'm asking a lot. My daughter's turning 16." And I was like, "It's fine. I can go pick up pizza and a cake and we'll get you a gift. Like, you just stay there. Like, it's fine. I'll be there. It doesn't matter that it's the weekend." And at that point, I didn't know it was going to be her last birthday. And I got to see her smile, like her face light up when we walked in the room, and all the pictures her mom shared of that day and how magical it was. And it was her last birthday. And I am forever grateful to be a part of her life and still to have her mom reach out and say that to us and still surround us with love and continue to support us.
Can you share her first name? I put my tissues on the floor so they wouldn't be in the camera, but hold on while I get them. Can you share her first name?
Yeah, so her name was Heather. And I lost two girls that year. When I started doing these, I never knew it was something I never imagined. It was like, I'm just bringing the joy. Um, I lost another girl named Teresa they were at the same age, about the same time. And I got to go to Teresa's funeral, and she has two younger sisters, and I still connect with them. Um, she was in Kansas City when she celebrated her last birthday, and we raised enough money to send her a drawing pad because she loved to draw.
Ugh.
And the mom took videos and sent it back to us. And these kids are just amazing. Every
Can I hold on? I have to tell you
Yeah.
something that I heard you say. I don't know if you caught it. that mom called you and she said, "Hey, we're here from out of town. It's her birthday. I know you've got a lot going on. I know it's an impossible ask." Do you hear that mirror the same conversation that you had at the Mayo Clinic? Like, "Hey, I know he's really busy, but I really need help."
Yeah, I don't think I've ever put that together.
So you got to be a God moment for that mom, just like whoever created the God moment for you.
Yeah.
And that's our work here, is to be the light in the
Yeah.
world, to create those as many moments as we can, not just for ourselves, but for the people that we get to now be the model for.
I think that's just a reassurance that it's okay to ask for help
Yeah. Can you
because
say that one more time? And can you say it really loud?
yeah, I think the most important message is it's okay to ask for help wherever you are, whatever battle you're fighting. Um, Reach out and ask somebody for help because there's so many people in the world that want to help. They just don't know how, and they don't realize that people are struggling in whatever battle you're fighting. So, whoever's listening to this, wherever you're at, it's okay to ask.
It's okay.
Asking,
And
yeah,
you must, because we'll only be able to receive what we have the courage to ask for. And the other
yeah,
thing is this, is like, if you don't ask for help, we can't give people the opportunity to help us, which helps them. I love the recovery movement so much because it's based on this premise that in order to recover from alcoholism, substance abuse, whatever it is, you have to help others, because in
yeah,
the altruism, we are healed, we
yes,
recover. And so by not asking for help, we're really doing a disservice to all the people that we could help just in the ask.
yeah.
Because I mean, I can see it on your face how much it's helped you to help others.
Oh yeah, it brings so much joy to my life.
Where can we find you? What's the name of your organization? How can we support you? Where do we send our money?
So,
Tell us where to find you and how we can help.
Little Moments, Big Dreams Celebrations. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram as LMBD Celebrations. And we have an Amazon wish list. People can shop that. People that are local, I mean, I ask them to go shopping, take your kids shopping, and tell your kids about it. Let them pick out a gift for another kid. I think it makes it more magical. Um, but yeah, we have Venmo and Amazon wish list, and we would love. I mean, we were averaging about 4 parties a week on top of doing other events, and we do 2 hospitals.
And we'll put that in the show notes as well. So
Thank you.
Casey sent all that to me. And it's called Little Moments, Big Dreams.
Little Moments, Big Dreams celebrations. Yeah, I want to
Little
be a
moments,
yeah.
big dreams, celebrations. Get your phone out and Google it right now. Little moments, big dreams, celebrations, and see how bright and beautiful Casey is, and therefore
Thank you.
how big and bright and beautiful she makes the world. Let me just take a deep breath before we sign off, okay? I
Thank you
love
so
this.
much.
I love you so much. I love this podcast. Like, what a gift it is to be able to share these gems, these miracles with the world so they continue in perpetuity, forever. On and on and
Yes,
on. Because when we're the light, we shine so bright that the path is lit for everyone else. Who's
it
ready?
is.
Who's ready? Who's
Yeah,
ready to see the light?
yeah.
Casey, I always sign off with the same ish signature line. So here they are. Can you open your heart and be ready to receive them? And dear listener, please open your heart as well. I love you. I'm so grateful for you. I am so stinking proud of you. And I believe in your ability to create a gorgeous life you love so that you can be a lighthouse for everyone else. Mwah. Thank you, Casey. Love you so much.
Thank you. Love you.